Hi, it's Dr. Joy here. And today I have a question from someone who has come to my dating groups, my support groups, and wanted to know a little bit more about what to do if she's in a space where she feels disconnected from love. She doesn't trust things. So I'm going to go ahead and read her question and give you the answer. This will probably help quite a few people who have been in the dating scene for a while and are getting jaded. There are times when we do need to step back. So let's look at this question and see if this might be one of those times. I've dated and haven't found anyone who set off my happy alarms. Or when they do, it's quickly ruined by red flags. Now I'm just numb. I don't trust anyone. I try for honesty. I go first. But that's not what I'm met with. I'm frustrated. I'm losing hope. I need to love someone. I have too much to give and it's becoming overwhelming. When I do give love, I want to know, basically, what are some tips to get me back to being able to accept that love, to be in that space, to be open to it? Okay. So first of all, I do want to validate what it is that you're experiencing right now. The fact that you have gotten to a space of being numb, the fact that you don't trust anybody. You know, we get evidence of something over and over and over again, and pretty much we're going to get to a point where we feel like everybody who's in the world dating is just lying. They're trying to get something from me. Nobody's ever honest. But that's not necessarily the case. But what the case is that there are a vast majority of people who were put out here in this space that is actually a little bit different for us. We have an overabundance of access to people, where there was a time where we did not have that. It was not easy to just ask somebody to go out, ask somebody to have sex, ask somebody anything. You couldn't just go and talk to thousands of people at a time. And now you literally can. So that whole thing is a paradigm shift for everybody who's out there. And people don't know how to do it properly. They don't know how to do it considerately. I think some people are actually considerate, but when it comes to dating, they really don't understand what it is that they're supposed to do. But that's not an excuse. That is a reason. And I also want you to understand, in the midst of all these things, that so much of it is definitely not personal. Again, it goes back to us being kind of like uneducated around how to properly date and just be respectful in a social way, right? So in terms of how do you get back to love, what you're really saying is that you don't trust human beings at this point in time. And potentially you are feeling a lack of trust that there's going to be anything in the future that could be better than what you've already seen. You might be sitting here reminiscing about relationships that you have walked away from, that you're feeling like, oh, maybe I should have stayed there. We start doing some double back. We're doubting all the stuff that we've done. But unfortunately, that is the nature of this space. And so when you're saying, what do you do to be able to like accept love again, to be in love, to like move forward towards love? You have to reconnect to love, period. What we're connecting love to is how people are behaving. We're connecting love to somebody asked me on a date, somebody was honest about this. We're connecting love to a space that is very chaotic and frantic, with people with all types of either desperation, people who have not worked on their trauma. You have a condensed space and you're letting that thing be the definition of love. Of course, I would be scared of that. But how do you tap it back into what love was for you prior to being in this space, right? There are probably friends that you have, there's probably family, there's probably other relationships you have already that are existing that potentially may have gotten pushed in the background and are being overshadowed by this hyper focus on dating and this feeling pretty despondent, right? Like, how much can you really enjoy everything when you feel like you're failing in an area? So I want you to know that you are not failing in an area. This is basically a battle zone over here. This is not a failure. And you honing in on protecting yourself and your feelings also makes sense. But we just have to identify, what is it we're actually protecting? What I think that you are protecting is time. You don't want to waste your time. Love didn't change, right? But people being in your space in a certain amount of time is overwhelming, right? People taking up, brain space, you trying to make all these decisions about relationships that, again, we weren't really built to do all at one time like that. That is overwhelming. But love in and of itself is still love. So what I do for most of my clients at this point is a lot of mindfulness, meditation, really being in a space of coming back to truth, coming back to your center. What I would suggest is literally getting a meditation that will walk you through processing again what really is love, right? And what did love do to you, right? It's not love that did something, it's the people who were out there. But I would want to process, like, what does love really look like? Um, Probably a meditation around gratitude and the abundance of love that you actually do have in your life. I just did a meditation like that with my meditation group on Thursday, and the reflection around it was I had been so hyper focused on the things I didn't have, but when I had to sit through this meditation, very slowly processing, I do have this resource and I have this resource, and oh my gosh, this person would do anything for me, and I just don't tap into them. Once the clients were able to do that, it was a complete shift and so much of a weight lifted off of them, right? The other thing outside of kind of detaching love from that experience and letting love have its power back again is knowing that if someone like you exists, someone like you who is trying to do something for yourself, who is trying to have some shifts, who's trying to be healthy, if someone like you exists, someone else like you exists. So that person is out there. I'm not saying that they're on Hinge. I'm not saying that they're on Bumble. I'm not saying that they're at a speed dating event. I'm not saying exactly where they are. But if you exist, someone else like you exists. There has to be some faith in something around this idea. But I think working on reconnecting to love is going to actually start to open you up to a lot of compassion and ideas and just more hope again around what your future is going to hold. So hopefully that was helpful. And if you have any other questions, you know exactly how to reach me. So hopefully this was helpful to a whole lot of other people who are going through similar things. If you haven't already, you want to go ahead, like, subscribe, make sure you get notified whenever I have a new video. When I do get a good question around relationships, sensuality, that type of thing, I will be on here to drop some gems and advice to move you forward and closer to yourself and getting back to glowing your goddess. Bye, everybody.